Let's get some paint on these poor old tube shields. I've removed all the rust and all the gold. Right now we're going to go ahead and prime it, just like we do everything else. We always prime bare metal. Do not paint directly on bare metal. You're just asking for trouble if you do. Alright, now we let it dry. Incidentally, only one of these tube shields came with the chassis. The other one I got from a fellow named Ed on the Antique Radio Forum. I put an advertisement for some. He contacted me and he says, here, you can just have them, you know. I said, no, I'm not going to take... I have a tough time taking things for free from people, you know. I mean, their good-heartedness just is really appreciated, but, you know, if I got the bucks, you know, let's spread the wealth around a little bit, help the guy, you know, give him a little money, you know. It's called working out a deal, okay? So I sent him some money, and he really didn't want to take it, and I told him, I'll tell you what, Ed, stick it in the Salvation Army bucket come Christmas time, and then, you know, someone else will get the benefit of this transaction, as well as, you know, me and you. He said, that's a great idea. I'm going to go do that. So good for him. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put 2 coats of primer on this thing. On both of these, I want them to be well primed before I paint them with gold paint. Yeah, I don't know what the original stuff was on these tube shields. It was probably some sort of, you know, a heat retardant coating, a gold coating of some sort that was heat retardant. I had 2 different color golds out in my paint stash. One, of course, appears to be darker than the other, and this one appears to be closer to the original gold color of the tube shields. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this on it. If that doesn't work, then we'll spray it with this. Alright, it appears to be okay. We're going to go ahead and put light coats on. I'm not going to spray a big old heavy coat. I don't want a big old heavy coat the first time. We're going to build up with a couple of small coats. And then when we're done, we're going to put a clear of some kind over the top. Well, I'll tell you what, they turned out really nice. Much better than expected. This restoration has got to have a big snafu at some point. I mean, things are just going too good here, Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put a coating of clear on it, and that'll give it one more layer of protection. Then we can move on to the next item. You know, this old Valspar paint is turning out to be pretty good stuff. I had never used it until I worked on that, that 1928 Atwater Kent that I redid for my son. That's the first time I ever bought a can of Valspar paint. I like that way that turned out, and I like the way this is turning out. I may have to wind up buying a few more cans of that stuff. Anyway, you know, it's just about as close to the original color as you can possibly get it without having the original stuff that was on it. We are down to the nitty-gritty on the top of this chassis. The only thing left, as far as I can tell, is the tuning gear, the mount for the variable capacitor, and the, I don't know what you would call it. I guess it's the dial scale mount that holds the bulbs. I don't know what the actual name of it is. And of course we have to go through our dial light wires inside and push them wires out and make sure that nothing is shorting against these dial light mounts. I'm telling you right now, these things here, sometimes if you got to go through them, you have got to tear these dial light housings apart, even if they look good. Because I can't tell you how many transformers have been wiped out by a slow, steady draw on the transformer by a slight short inside one of these, or both. Sometimes there's more than one, 3 or 4 maybe. What you're looking for is, you know, a good insulator and good wire, and we'll show you how to do that. These bulbs are 2.5 volts, by the way, in this particular model of Atwater Kent. 2.5 volts, screw base. One of them's blown. I'm gonna replace them with 2 brand new ones. They've been in there too long. It's time for them to go. This wire here going up through the center of this bulb is brown. It looks black, I know, but it's actually brown. And this wire is red, as you can see. All the rest of this wire is just crumbling right off of there. Just a mess. And this wire here goes to ground. So we've got a black wire that runs from housing to housing, or bulb mount, whatever you want to call it, bulb base. And then a wire from there to ground. And this one is brown, goes up through this bulb, red up through this bulb. We're going to unsolder this mess and put all nice new stuff in. I just got done taking alcohol and cleaning these insulators that were inside these housings right here. And I'll tell you what, boy, they're in excellent condition. Really good condition. But had they been bad, what would I have done? I mean, suppose they had been cracked or melted or something like that, which, you know, usually is the case in many radios. What I would have done was taken a small nylon or plastic washer, neoprene, some kind of hard plastic washer. And I would have, you know, the way these wires are connected is they're soldered to these metal things right here. These metal things are hollow in the middle. They're almost like a little rivet. And you're looking at the rivet head. And when I heat them with the soldering iron, that wire is going to pull out, and you'll be able to look right down through the center of them. And if these were bad, I would remove them and then put a small white plastic washer or neoprene washer, nylon washer, something that's strong. I would have soldered a new wire into the eyelet and then slid that washer up that wire to the bottom of that head right there, to where it would not have, you know, gone through. Let me get one of those little washers. I'll show you what I'm talking about. These are the kind of washers I'm talking about. Little plastic. I think these are nylon washers. I pick them up at Lowe's in a little package in their little parts bins. And then there's this little brown one here, which is a fiber washer. They work pretty good, but they're a lot thinner, and they don't last too long. They're easy to break, whereas these little babies, they work pretty good. All right, enough chit chat. Let's go ahead and get these caps off of here. They are these two insulators. Get the wires out and start doing some replacing. I've already cut the black wire that's going to go between the two. This is the red wire for here, and this will be the black wire that goes from this center wire, which will eventually be connected to ground. And I'll dig out a brown brown wire off my brown spool, and go ahead and put the brown wire up through this one here. So brown, red, black, black. The dial light sockets are done, nice and clean, nice and insulated. The wires are insulated from the outside casings or the outside socket with nice new wires in there. We got us our brown, we got our black with our two grounds, and a red. So essentially all we really have is three wires, red, black, and brown. And we will call that restored, except for the one light bulb I need to buy. It would be a DL41. I'll have to put some kind of order into Radio Days in order to get one of those. The next thing we have to work on is our dial scale housing, the mount, whatever you want to call it. It's in rough shape. Boy, this baby's in bad shape. And you'll remember that this was bent right here on the back, this thing here. Anyway, I've been thinking about how am I going to straighten this out without causing any further damage. Here is my brilliant idea. I get these spasms of brilliance every once in a while, and usually they wind up in catastrophe. But this time, I think my brilliance is going to pay off. I've got one piece of wood here with a clamp against it. Now these are flat. This copper-looking thing has actually got a very flat surface on it. It's not hollow in the center. And then I've got another little piece of wood right here with another flat surface against the bent part. Now the idea here is to slowly pull this thing together just by twisting it. This is already beginning to go together pretty good. Ooh, that's looking good. Let me see what I can do with both hands. Well, it doesn't look too bad. It's nice and flat. It's right up against the metal here. And of course this doesn't, I won't know what's going on until I get this off. But there's nothing dented. I don't see anything else dented. I may have to go on the inside, here and do a little tapping to maybe take out a dent or two. But if it's not that bad, I'm not going to worry about it. Well, this baby wants to be cantankerous. So what I'm going to do, we're almost there, but not quite. I'm going to take a deep socket. It's the same size as this collar. Just stick it around there like that, and then we're going to turn it up the other way, like so. Then I'm going to take a punch and a hammer, and I'm just going to tap around there. Tap, 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 tap. Nothing heavy, nothing hard. And hopefully that'll start to flatten it out the way it's supposed to be. If not, plan B. I was forced into plan B whether I wanted to do it or not. And once I started flattening this thing out, the collar just fell right out. Just fell right out. You know, once again, do we get all excited? Do we get in a tither about this? Of course not. All we're going to do is, now I got a great opportunity now to flatten that out real nice. Then I'll go ahead, put this back in, and put some epoxy around the rear and make it nice and tight. And this way we'll be able to have it nice and straight. Alright, I've got it all flattened out in the center there. Now it's time to do some stripping. We're going to strip all that old nasty paint out of there. Disaster has struck. Oh man, I can't believe it. It's my own fault. I took the brass collar that was soaking in the paint stripper and I put it inside here, and it had sat for quite a while, and then I took it over to the hose on the side of the house to wash it out. Oh, I had forgotten it was in there. I'd gone in the house and come back out. Between here and the hose, it fell out in the grass, and we cannot find it. So, what we're going to do, I'll find it. If I have to tear the entire yard up, I will find it. There's no plan B for this. I mean, yeah, there is a plan, but I prefer to stick with the one I've got. Anyway, this will be the end of the video for right now. I hate to end on a sour note, but that's the way it is. You know, that's what happens when you get a case of dumb butt. Anyway, until next time, when I hope I have found the collar, this is John. Keep your fingers crossed there, buddy.